I'll take my turn.
Recording started, maybe.
Don't know.
I think even that just
It would be in the minutes. Maybe I shouldn't be here.
Live whenever you're ready to start.
All right, well, we'll get started. So we are here for our regular Tuesday, March 8th, 2022 City Council meeting. Normally we're at 7 o'clock, but we changed it to 5 so everyone can go to their caucus meetings tonight, which are at 7. Councilmember Grover is currently not here, but he said he'll be here, so we'll see when he shows up. Prayer thought will be offered by Councilmember Perkins, and then we will have the pledge. We'll go to there.
Gracious and loving Father in heaven, we are grateful to meet together today with the united purpose of doing those things that are in the best interest of the entire community of this city of Blanding. We recognize what a weighted responsibility that this is, and we take it seriously. Therefore, we ask thy blessing to be on us, that we can have clear hearts and intellects, that we can listen to the facts and make decisions based on data in the best interest. We thank thee for the snow that has fallen, and we ask thee to be ever mindful of those things that we still stand in need of with water. We love thee and we thank thee and say these things in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible.
All right, we're all here.
Gotta get us on my daily work.
smell like cow turd.
Gas today.
Yes.
Oh, gas. Okay.
So yeah,
Lots and lots.
depends. Okay, so first we will, if we've had a chance to review the consent agenda and minutes from our February 22nd meeting. All the twos there, it's throwing me off. I would take a motion for that.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda and minutes from our last meeting.
Okay, so it's Councilmember Perkins and Councilmember Gosser, all in favor?
Aye.
That is everyone. Any declaration of conflicts of interest for tonight's agenda? Seems pretty light, so we should be good. Public comment. So this is the time that if anybody wants to speak to the council, you are welcome to speak to us. We'll give you 2 to 3 minutes and you can tell us whatever you want, if you want. If not,
We have a group here or something.
yeah, we have some awards.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Okay, we'll just keep on going with our agenda here then. We'll start with reports. I don't think I have anything this week. Anything from council?
I'll just mention, I stopped by the ball fields, Coach Bowers and Coach Nielsen, they put a little bit on the baseball because they were both pleased with how the fields came out. So that's good news.
You do, yeah.
Head over heels in love would be another word for that, probably. Yeah. I'm the softball coach anyway.
Yeah, no, he was
I do have a
excited.
question about the rest of the dirt, but I can ask them. when we
Is
get
that
through.
moving it?
Yeah, why there's leftover dirt?
I would have to ask staff, to be honest.
Because they say there's not enough dirt. I mean, they love what's happened, but there needs to be more dirt, and there's this pile of dirt and they're afraid it's gonna get ruined.
I'm not sure why, but it sometimes with things like that, there's compaction that happens, and so they may be having a reserve. So when some of the compaction happens, they put it in, but I don't know. I can follow up and ask on that. So.
Okay.
I'm
They
just
need to
speculating.
put the dirt on the fields, in my opinion, but.
I'm not sure. I'll follow
Any
up.
other reports from council?
I was able to get on the transportation district meeting last night. Don't know a clue what was going on, but I made the call and we talked.
Okay, that's a good thing. I forgot, I am going up to Thursday with the 5th grade class. We're going up to the state capitol, doing a tour and going to the aquarium and driving home. So we'll leave at 4 in the morning and get home at 9 o'clock that night. But I think most of the 5th grade class is going, so should be a party. I have a 5th grader. That's kind of why I'm going.
Mine's going too. She thought that was a long trip.
Yeah,
She is right.
I already think it's a long trip and we haven't gone yet. So
When you do that,
Thursday.
I'm going to Layton and back, so.
All right, so maybe we'll see you.
Well,
That's
Yeah,
worse, yeah.
yeah. Okay, David.
First on personal, I will be gone Thursday and Friday of this week, and then the beginning of next week, I'll be out of town. And then as far as city manager reports, just quick highlights with the airport commercial policies. When the newspaper came out with the article, we got lots of calls. The irony of
Katie, did you take the brunt of those? Because your
No.
name was.
I know, right there.
But
The
the
new
irony
person.
of,
That's all right.
all those calls was the people that were reaching out to us were the very people that I had on my list to call that week. And there was some misunderstanding based on the newspaper. They were thinking that something had been passed or was about to be passed or finalized. And I just clarified that it was a draft brought to discussion for the council to get feedback. And then the next step was getting their feedback and getting feedback in the community. So I think there's been good understanding. We've had great conversations with the FBO, had great conversations actually with the regional representative for Avgas, and just getting a little more feedback. The attorney has reviewed it. And so there's a few more steps, and we hope to have something to you probably the first meeting in April, more likely, so that I have enough time to have conversations with people.
And I did, maybe because I'm affiliated with, or they know me from the airport in the past, I did take a lot of feedback on that. A lot of people upset about the increase to the hangar rates. I mean, that was the majority of it. So
Yeah.
I've asked them to look into some additional things, and we can discuss that at the time that we look at that draft agreement.
Yeah.
So probably what I'll do is I will, after I get feedback from, some of the individuals in the community, as well as just some of, they wanted to provide me with some other comparisons to look into. So probably what I'll do is we'll maybe refine the policy a little bit, bring it to the council for one last discussion so that we can do any other refining or guidance the council may want to give, and then bring it for finalization. There's no like pressure to get this done tomorrow, although we'd like to get it done sooner than later. The one thing that I did make clear to them too is that there's the ordinance side, and then there's the rate and administrative policy side. And nobody really seemed to have any problems with the ordinance side. It was just fine tuning the rate and administrative policy side. So I feel really comfortable about the ordinance side, and everybody agreed that that was needed. It was just kind of the rates and stuff that were sticking points for people.
And
which
they
makes
made some
sense.
good points. They're concerned about us hurting the airport rather than helping. They think it's growing and they want to see it continue to grow. And they think that increasing, that rate, increasing our hangar rental rates is not the way to do that. But they understand there needs to be an increase. They just thought it was significant compared to what others are charging. And that part I didn't know about. So that's what I heard.
We'll look into it. So. Or we are looking into it. The other thing that I wanted to highlight was with the commercial development policy. So that's coming before you tonight. But with respect to Sunrise Outfitting and their request, the city attorney advised that we get a policy in place first. And then even with that policy in place, he said he felt he needed time to review the specific circumstances with that, and then be able to make a recommendation from there. So it'll more likely be the first meeting in April that we bring something back to the council specific to Sunrise Outfitting. So based on the attorney and the time that he was indicating he needed. So that's all I have for reports for now.
And say that you mean, because if the council approves the CDA today, we could forward with them on that, correct?
We could move forward with them on that, but with any commercial development agreement, even with those within the CDA, we should have our attorney review it, because one of the main points that he made is that any commercial development agreement should have a legal quid pro quo that shows what the city is receiving tangibly in return for what is giving, and that whatever the city is receiving should be equal or greater than what the city is providing. And that was his legal recommendation with commercial development. So
we could see how.
how their
falls
project
together
fits
on
within
that.
the policy and go from there. So
Well, and I personally think the gas line is a completely different, I think it's its own subject, separate from Sunrise Outfitting,
and I brought that up. We
but
had
it's
a
not on the
discussion.
agenda.
Right, because he said that he needed time to look more into the specifics of that situation. So he said, get the policy in place, because that's kind of the baseline. And then he said, after that, then he'll start looking more into the details of the specific situation. But we've had Terry out of town. I'm going out of town. And so there's just been some timing things of him being able to talk.
They're
to
not
people.
ready yet anyway on Sunrise Outfitting's side yet either, right?
Yes, and the application is still in process right now, so.
I wonder if we need to put it for discussion on the next meeting, specifically that gas line. I don't even think it, I really think it's
We could put
something
it
that
for
needs to be discussed
discussion.
outside of an agreement. We need to have a discussion on who's responsible for that gas line.
Yeah,
I
I thought that's fair.
If we do it next meeting, then maybe that'll give us better direction for the 8th, I guess, but if we can do that, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think that would be good. And the attorney can jump on for that. I will tell you, when I mentioned the gas line specific to that, and in the next meeting, we can have a discussion. He can expound further his perspective, but his perspective that he conveyed to me was that that may be something that occurred in the past, but who's to determine whether the city, the developer, the neighboring development, who's really responsible.
Right,
with
city
his-
council is gonna have to decide that.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, we can put that on. Do you want to put it on?
Yeah, I betcha. Thanks.
All right, finance report. Kim is not here. I assume you'll cover that, Dave, if there's any questions on that.
Yeah, if there's any questions that you have.
Any questions on the finance report that's kind of listed with the budget items that are there? I don't have any questions. You good? Okay. Water report, Terry.
Terry is
Oh,
out
he's
of town
gone.
as well.
Okay.
so He's, I believe, in that meeting this week.
Yeah. I think he is.
If there's any questions, I can take those to him as well.
Have any,
You know, what,
Oh, I like this graph though.
yeah, that's a.
That's as of March 1st.
So that one, the graph is as of March 1st. It looks like his water report is the 28th of February, which shows 72.2% of average for the current water year, which is up some from where we were last time, but still below, obviously, average.
where we need to be.
Looks like the snow water equivalent is 7.6 inches and that's 58.3% of the average. Any questions on water? Okay, we will go with Chief Bradford, our police report.
Mayor and council, February was a little quieter month, good, knock on wood. Items of interest, we started working with the Best Friends Animal Sanctuary out of Canab. And they said they want to pick up all the dogs that don't get adopted. So we'll have to put down even fewer, which is.
Are we gonna have to deliver them or are they gonna come get them?
They came and picked up 3 this last week, so.
And I saw an ad for someone posting for jobs
They're
for
expanding, yeah.
in San Juan County.
Yeah, I think it's more for giving up dogs on the reservation and stuff,
So,
but
yeah, stated something to do, just that
more of the reservation dogs or something of that nature. That will
That's
help
good
us
too.
because we get a lot of dogs brought to us from the reservation.
Right.
From people
People
traveling
traveling
through.
through.
That's where these last 3 dogs come from. People just find them out along the highway, just
by
wandered
themselves.
away from somebody's home. They pick them up and they bring them to us. So we pick up a lot of dogs that way, but
Good for Canab.
yeah, that should help us a bunch. You know, just putting nearly as many down. We haven't done a lot lately, so that's good. So officers are working hard on getting our required training for mental health and arrest control and all the other things the legislature put in place last year so they can be more compliant. That's probably why some of the numbers are lower in February, because we're spending a lot more time doing online training. But we're getting closer. We've got a couple more in-person trainings lined up later this month. So
Perfect.
any questions?
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. All right, presentation. So this is a community youth award. I've been working with Alin with the SJC PAC, and we have some awards to give. So I will just give those. I'll read this and then I'll have y'all come up. So Spencer Gosney is a 4.0 freshman student at San Juan High School who excels in his schoolwork. Spencer's a unique young man in that all on his own, he decided to do a fundraiser to earn money for the local women's shelter. He didn't do it as part of a club or group. He just decided that it was time to make a difference. He approached businesses for donations. He recruited 3 of his friends to help. These 4 young men sold raffle tickets at football games, at the grocery store, and to neighbors, family, and friends, and they held a drawing and counted proceeds of over $1,200 that they donated to the Gentle Iron Hawk Women and Children's Shelter in Blanding. We are proud of Spencer and his desire to make a difference. This award is well deserved for Spencer Gosney and his friends. So I'll have you guys come up and we'll give you something. Right, Spencer. Right. That's Matt. Spencer and Brigham. So that one is Spencer. This one is Brigham. And then next, and Austin Pincock is another one. And we'll get his. Yeah, so turn around right here, we'll take a picture. Scoot back this way.
And scoot together so that we're not in the picture.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Thanks.
Guys, y'all are welcome to stay for the rest of our meeting, or you can run away. Thank you, guys. All right. Okay, business items. We have resolution 3-8-2022-1. This is our commercial development policy. Pratt.
Yes,
Time
it'll
for
slow us
dinner.
down.
Time for dinner.
All right. All right, council, you guys have any questions regarding that staff report or the CDA itself, the guiding policy?
No, I think we got some things ironed out within like the email there that everyone was able to share kind of some things. I think the things that were added are good and make sense to add on there. So I am good with it.
I would say the one thing that, just for clarification, you'd asked about blighted areas, and the attorney reminded us that to address blighted, it has to be a CRA. And so that's one of the intents of a CRA, is to help with blighted.
But you had a section on here about adding points if they were in those areas. I'm not seeing. Oh, I see it. Okay.
Yeah,
It's
I see it,
detailed
okay.
out below.
right. And so, what was I gonna say? The benefit of the CRA, so say, right now, these three levels, the top, the 4 to 5 column level, the limit's 25,000, but say that there is or like a company, I'm just gonna throw a crazy one out there because I've worked with Costco. Like when I did Costco up north, we created a CRA, and then that opened the door to council because of how much sales tax they're bringing in. That opened the door for the council to come up with agreement out with more flexibility. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So,
And since we have a CRA of some form in place, getting one installed for a new location or property wouldn't be such a time intensive process either. We'd be able to hopefully get that within a month or so ironed out and in place, which would make sense. And if someone was really interested, we'd be able to get the ball rolling before their permit and everything's even approved. So.
Well, if you can bring Costco here,
I know, right? Like I said, that was kind of a dramatic example, but it's just one.
So I'm confused though, because last time we said that the CRA that we have is not commercial.
No,
It was
CRA,
private.
No,
No, there's another private reimbursement program. that was
Oh.
talked
right, that's the
Oh, okay,
residential.
okay.
reimbursement program.
Completely different things.
Yes.
Okay, so the CRA area that we already have north of town
Mhm.
is for commercial.
Is for commercial. So say, for example, there's a blighted building in town, all we would have to do is that property we would then make that a CRA to be able to address
Okay.
that. Because there's already
Okay.
state law in place to address blight. And the attorney said, you don't want to try and create a policy to address blight that might unintentionally contradict state law regarding.
But the problem is, as we've seen with CRAs, you have to really get the school district and the county on board, or the CRA does you no good.
So one of the things that this is some of the expertise that Dave brought. We were really focused on property taxes. Our CRA is set up for taxes, so we can decide whether sales tax or property tax. Sales tax is actually where we should have been going originally anyways,
That's how I got.
because then
Costco
it's not an issue with the locals, right? That's other people's money that's coming in that's being taxed. And it's a little less controversial and it makes more sense as well. So you don't have to be involved with other parties as well, because we would take the city sales tax and do that reimbursement in that manner. And it just, I don't know,
Interesting.
So
makes
it's like
sense.
it's a tax
Is that
deferment.
new, or
So-
did we just miss? that?
No,
it just wasn't spelled out.
Yeah.
It just,
Oh, my God.
that was kind of what we were recommended. And I don't know if Jeremy at the time didn't specify that, but when we looked at. when we
Well,
sat
would
and
that
looked at
project
it,
have
it's like,
mattered
no.
anyways with sales tax, where it would have been a room and it would have been room tax versus sales tax?
You pay sales tax.
Is it the
and
same
tax.
thing? Okay.
So-
We pay both the time.
So for example, a really simple model is tax deferment. So if a company's coming in and the city's portion of its sales tax is going to be $50,000 a year, well, if that company didn't come in, you wouldn't be getting that 50,000. So if they came in, what you say is, hey, for 3 years, we're going to reimburse you or defer 90% of that sales tax back to you for the first 3 years. That incentivizes them to come. It's not money out of your pocket, and it's money you wouldn't have if you didn't get here. And that's how we got Costco up north. And to kind of add to that, legislation was just passed to prevent doing that. But I fought hard and made it clear to the legislature that cities in our situation are not the same as those up north. And so because of what I brought to their attention, they exempted all counties and cities within of the fourth class.
Was that
in
the
that
movie,
legislation.
the movie issue as well? The-
No, that was.
No,
That was a
that
whole
was
nother-
separate.
So this was a
retail incentive bill.
That kind of came, we kind of heard about it through the league, so
Yeah.
the Utah
So-
League of Cities and Towns.
They had exemptions for the 5th and 6th class, but I fought very hard and spelled out exactly our circumstances here and I expected they would make
Yeah.
some other type. I didn't think they'd make such a broad exemption, but they exempted all 4th class counties and their cities within, so we
Wow.
can still continue to do.
Because the
this.
problem was that they were exempting cities of a class and counties of a class, and they weren't the same class. So
Right.
we qualified within the city, but the county didn't qualify.
Exactly,
So that's
and we were
why
within the
we have to
county.
go through yeah.
Yeah, it
It
was
was a mess.
interesting. And up north, the only way they can do those kind of sales tax incentive, sorry, I'm distracted. The only way up north they can do a sales tax incentive like that is if they bring in a percentage of required high density housing. And so by really sounding the little drummer boy drum, we got that exemption.
Much different, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's a little bit.
You know what's interesting though is we had a professional agency helping us with that CRA and they never say anything about sales tax.
Yeah,
That could have been a whole different ballgame for that hotel.
I think it could have been as well, and which that's what was interesting is they were, it was the hotel's it was their person
Yeah.
guiding it, so I don't know why that wasn't spelled out, but
Interesting.
That approach also is because it also demonstrates a community collaboration is one way. And that's also a common way to fund those.
Which I mean,
things, but it's not
upfront,
the
it
only
looked
way.
like, I mean, and really, if the school board would have been, the school district would have been on board,
It would work.
it would have worked and it would have been great because it was a significant amount of money that we were talking about. And so I think that's why they probably wanted it to work that way, is just incentivize the kind of just the communities, I think.
So for clarification, CRAs can function in a variety of ways as long as they're adhering to the state law. And they're not just bound to what you guys had experienced in the past. So.
Okay, thank you
Yeah.
for that clarification.
Any other questions on the CDA policy? No. If we don't have any more questions or anything to add to it, I can take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the. Well, before I make my motion, let me just clarify that it's very well spelled out in here that this doesn't obligate us to anything. It's also based upon funding from the city, so I think Pred did a really good job putting this whole thing together. And I think it really hopefully will intentionally help those businesses that are going to help our city. And I think that's very positive. So with that said, I'll make a motion that we approve the commercial development agreement policy and the commercial development agreement form.
So we're
Well,
on
you just
resolution.
resolution.
But the resolution covers, so the resolution covers the CDA policy and the agreement.
Well, okay. I'm so sorry. It's like, what do I call that?
No,
I
you're
got you
good.
now.
You're good.
I make a motion, we approve resolution 03-08-2022-1, approving the commercial development agreement and guiding policy. Makes a lot more sense for my motion.
I second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Councilmember Bowers and a second by Councilmember Gosser for the resolution in regards to the CDA policy and agreement. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's everyone for the agreement there. And I don't know of a reason for a closed session tonight.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
We're gonna have a closed session.
That was good.
Okay, so motion by Perkins, seconded by Councilmember Nielsen, all in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
That was a beautiful meeting, guys.
That was the fastest meeting. Wait, no, we had 25 minutes.
25.
The fastest this year.
This year.
I've never done.
That's the fastest
Yes.
under Mayor Montan's tenure.
After the first two.